Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning. Good morning, Amber. That was a little too low. Just a little too low. How deep is your love? Your love, your love. How deep is your love? 'Cause we're living in a world of fools. All right. You probably tell what I was listening to before I came on. Good afternoon, Michelle. My cat's food bowl is empty, and they are certainly, I feel like I'm being circled and they're going to attack me and eat me. Good morning, Angel. It's good to see you. The roses are in the house. The roses are in the house. And it's funny, Angel, because I was going to bring up the, so Angel sent me a post. We're not going to particularly say who it was, but now they're going to go after content. And they're like, just wait, we're going to bring you a bunch of content. And I'm like, you got 38 subscribers, dude. And what I want to do is I want to give him the same advice he gave me 4 years ago, unsolicited advice, right? Because I was looking at maybe going back to work for them. That did not happen for very obvious reasons, but he told me, you know, there's a lot better people out there that can do that. Maybe you should just come to work for us. And I want to put that. I want to make a comment that says, hey, I'm going to give you the same advice you gave me. I don't think you're not, there's much better people at doing that than you are. Maybe you should just come work for me. All right. I'm over myself. I find it funny. In this case, they tend to do what I do or take over what I do. But in this case, I mean, a lot of people do this. So I don't think it has anything to do with me directly at all. But gosh, when you were making money hand over fist with the other stuff, you didn't need to do that. Anyway, I probably shouldn't revel in somebody else's misfortune, but it's more like justice. It's more like justice. So, but today it's just a little, what the hell is going on here? Okay, there we go. All right. Today we're talking about, as God's children, we stand on our own 2 feet. This has a lot to do with advocacy. It has to do with advocacy. Your own self-advocacy. So I asked Google, I said, as God's children, we stand on our own 2 feet mean? They gave me nothing except people's opinions. So I asked it a different way. I asked, how do you advocate for yourself in recovery? Pretty much means the same thing. I think I turned the heat up way too high. I'm still having very bad stomach problems today. So fun. So fun. Look at all the fucking meds I take. Jesus. All right. We're not going to go there. All right. First off, just because we've gotten into recovery and we are sorry for what we have done does not mean that we are required to let other people walk all over us. And I don't give a fuck who that is, whether it's a family, close friend, somebody you don't know, maybe in a meeting. You are not required to take bullshit from people. It's how we react. It's what we do with that that is going to matter, whether it's going to be a fight or advocacy. Confrontation is also advocacy. Absolutely, it is. Right? This will be a good example. Next week, I'm going to meet with somebody at East Metro Detox. Actually, I'm going to meet with the manager and all the manager and all of the directors, including the executive director of Aurora Mental Health. And we're going to sit down and figure out where Dion belongs. And I've been advocating for myself in that, but there's something particular that I'm going to have to advocate for. There was a gentleman who came walking in a few weeks ago, asked for some help, but I guess he was inebriated, right? And this is what we call walk-in crisis, WIC. Okay. They went to a crisis, and what they should have done is send him to detox at that point. Let him come down off the alcohol a little bit, be a little bit more lucid, and then worked with the crisis. That would have been the correct thing to do. But instead, what they did is they turned him away. He went to the park and he killed himself. And I have the person's name. And even though we're sitting down to talk about Dion and how he can fit in and everything, it's going to be one of the first things that I bring up. See, if they can't talk about it, then what I'm going to tell them is, if we can't solve this problem, then I'm going back to Adams County, and you guys are not getting that $3 million. You're not getting the $3 million. That's my $3 million. And I'm going to spend it how I see fit. No change, no change. That's advocacy. Advocacy sometimes comes with a little bit of pain. It's not easy to do. But the main component here again is you. Is you. And it's your self-esteem. To work on that self-esteem, man. All right. Advocate for yourself in recovery involves actively participating in your treatment plan, expressing your needs clearly, and staying informed about your condition. This includes setting personal goals, believing in your ability to recover, and building a strong support network. Okay. I forgot to do this. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Or the rewatch. Oh, sorry. And I don't want to talk about because it's embarrassing. So when I burp, it's like I just got slapped in the face with eggs, with bad eggs. I'm serious. It's raunchy. It's raunchy, man. They say it's acid reflux, but this isn't acid reflux. This is a backup. Yes, I know you're out of food. Hi, Dad. We're out of food. Hey, you remember me? You remember me, Dad? Huh? Do you remember that I exist? Huh? We're out of food, Dad. No! 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 They're used to me fucking with them. Huh. Yes, you are, huh? All right. I will feed you next. Okay. All right. Here's a more detailed look at advocating for yourself in recovery. Know yourself and know your rights. You know, a lot of people try and advocate for themselves. And good morning, Leisure. It's good to see you. In AA, right? But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't know your traditions, you're not going to be able to advocate in AA because you're not going to know what you're talking about. So you got to know what ow! No biting. No. That's what I do when he bites me. I grab his teeth. He hates it. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, that's good. He just wants to rub up against my legs. their food is empty. So, yeah, that's what it is. Morning, Gary. Good to see you, man. So know yourself and know your rights. You got to know yourself first, right? Because otherwise you're going to let other people determine your feelings. You're going to let other people determine your worth. You will let other people determine how you should be perceived. Yeah. Okay, we can't do that. No. Okay, now is that on them? No, it's on us. It's on us. Dude, enough. Go away. That ain't gonna work. He's just going through my legs and making my legs all staticky. And then I'm going to touch something that's going to go zap. Nope, didn't happen. All right. Self-reflection. Understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and how your addiction may have affected your life. Not just and the thing is in AA in the 12 steps, we tend to look just at the weaknesses. But we've got to look at our strengths too. You find out your strength and you improve upon those. It's the one thing that you do. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. What's one of my weaknesses? No, I'm not going to go feed my cat. They can wait. I do not. Here's the thing: when it comes to my cats, I don't feed them twice a day or whatever. They have food most of the time, and they are fat. They are fucking fat, and they can live off their fat for 10 minutes. So, but I'll do it right after. I should have done it before. But those cats got to know who's in control, and it's me. I'm just kidding. I just didn't feel like it yet. That's just what it came down to, right? Well, it's one of my weaknesses. Seeing domestic violence will probably set me off. That's why I didn't become a police officer. But that's actually what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do for a living. When I got sober the first time, I was going to go into the police academy. But I had a couple of talks with some people. I was on a place called the West Side Drug Free Youth Team, and we talked to a lot of police officers. And I talked to one cop, and he's like, put me in these situations. He's like, how would you act? And by the end, he's like, yeah, I probably would not be a police officer if I were you. They were right. Because if I walked into a domestic violence situation, I'd beat the fuck out of the dude. I just don't think, especially at 19. Now I'd pull out a taser or something, but I would react. And see, therein is the problem. Therein is in the problem. Police officers cannot react. And if they do, it's got to be the right reaction. And clearly my reactions were not the right ones. Now, but what I could do, and I'd probably be okay with, because I knew I didn't have the power, is being a peer support with police officers. Because I wouldn't be carrying anything. There's nothing that I could do anyway, except utilize my mouth. And so that would be a good thing. That would be one of my strengths in that. But see, I could take something that was one of my weaknesses and find my strength in that. But if I'm not honest with myself, this self-reflection it won't do me any good. Right? Unless I'm willing to say, you know what? It's kind of like when, I went to work at East Metro Detox. In my gut, I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. I knew I wasn't going to do well, and it was just going to kind of make it worse. But they begged and begged and begged, and finally I caved. I'm like, fine, pay me the $16.75 an hour. And guess what? And I tried very, very hard, but there were a couple of things that happened that were going on. That was the same place my parents took me when I was 14. So whenever I walk up to the building, I just start having I'd start having flashbacks. Because Comitis Crisis Center is the walk-in crisis, and that's where they put me. And it's in the same fucking place, and the place looks the same. And it's, man, no, couldn't do it. It's an old army barracks. Reminds me of being in jail. Couldn't do it. Leisure says, sometimes my weaknesses that I know can still surface. Absolutely they can. Grateful to be able to recognize them. And if I recognize them too late, it's better than my life before when I wouldn't recognize it. And you may not always recognize it right off the bat. You may not see it. This is why we have to go out of our way to look. Yeah. Just like your 8th and 9th step, that list that you put together, it gets bigger as you go along in recovery, and your brain starts coming back. You're like, oh, that's right. I did that to this person over here. And yeah. Uh-oh. Rutro Rastro. Dear Lord, what the fuck was all that? Oh, Restream's doing something. All right, doesn't matter. How deep is your love? It's just on my mind. I was outside. I was having a cigarette. My kids were out there. And they were like, so are you coming Saturday? I'm like, I don't understand. And my grandson Orson is he has been nominated for a rank promotion. It is a belt testing for Shim Saw. I didn't even know he was in this, but I guess he keeps asking if Grandpa's going, and he's never asked if Grandpa's going. So that was pretty nice. That felt really good this morning. But is Grandpa going? Grandpa in the basement. Is he going? I want him to go. He's never wanted me to be there, which means he's proud of what he's done and he wants to show off in front of me and progress. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool that he thought of me directly. Didn't have that. Leisure says you might recognize it when it's too late. Yeah, we alcoholics can easily fool ourselves that we're doing the right thing. I know I can. So what does that mean? It means I need closed mouth friends in my life for direction. Just a couple weeks ago, one of my friends reached out. They said, yeah, I'm kind of concerned. But what they were saying is, I think you're out of your lane. And they were not incorrect. They were not incorrect. I didn't see it until one of my friends said something to me. I'm like, and of course, in my mind, the first thing I do is deny it. It's the very first thing that happens. And then since I deny it, I already know that I'm probably full of shit because I denied it immediately, which was my indicator that I probably should listen to what they are saying. Right? Know your rights. Familiar yourself with your rights as a patient or a person in recovery. You have certain rights, right? There's been a few times when I've worked with a sponsee and they're like, well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. And that it's a perfectly good fear. I understand it. If you approach HR and tell them, they can't fire you. That's law. In fact, they're required to help you. And you'll actually find that a lot of times they want to help because it is much easier. It'll be more cost effective because that's what their business and they're there to make money. Let's remember that. They're not there to coddle you. That's, hey, what did Tom Hanks say? There's no crying in baseball. Right. I was just talking with somebody yesterday, having troubles with the new management, with where they're working, with where they're working at. And so we sat down and we talked about some things, and we kind of came to the conclusion that these people are spiritually sick, and that one person's most likely an alcoholic. And now we know we know how to work with that, don't we? Yeah, that we know how to do. All right. Yeah, leisure, deny it and play victim. Yeah. Um, so know your rights. When it comes to the program, know your stuff. You know, and I don't know what it is, but I've been getting a little resistance from people about learning the traditions. They just don't. I know it probably sounds boring. I know my traditions very, 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 very well. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to go out there and advocate for us. I've got to know my stuff. And the traditions were pounded into me the first time I got sober. You know, I was in a halfway house for homeless alcoholics. I couldn't go nowhere. It was forced upon me, but I'm glad that it was. All right. So do some investigating, find those receipts. Okay. Let's just move on. All right. Communicate your needs. This is where I statements come in. Practice expressing your needs and preferences clearly, and here's the key, and respectfully. Okay. If Dion cannot bring up let's take that person that died, that went into crisis. Now, when I approach that, what I said here is not what I'm going to say there. Okay. I've got to approach that a little different. It's going to be more like this. I have a concern. This is going to be kind of a tough conversation. Do you mind if we talk about it first? Yeah. They just seem long. I had to have somebody simplify them. Good. Thank you, Angel. I think that's what a lot of people think. And and that makes sense. Absolutely. So to help out with that, tradition 1 is 2.5 pages. This is tradition 1. Tradition 2, 6.5 pages. Not long, but they do get, tradition 3 is a little bit longer. It's 7 pages. Okay. But they can seem kind of boring, huh? Yeah. So, but that's a good point, that maybe because our group, and they voted it in on the first and third Saturday of each month, we're going to be having a traditions meeting. But it's not going to be your long, drawn out, boring. No, it's going to be a lot more interactive. You guys know me. I don't want to be bored in AA meetings either. And I'm going to make it at least kind of fun. It's often I have to bring a topic up here, or I have a whole tradition series. Go put it on and listen to it. And I simplify it there. So, Angel, thank you for bringing that up, because if I understand why people don't want to learn the traditions, then I can meet them where they're at and change it. So there we go. So communicate your needs. I feel. I this. These have to be I statements, right? Okay. Now, all right. So set goals and be informed. Set personal goals. Define what you want to achieve in your recovery journey and take steps to get there. Maybe you want to do something in life. Yesterday, we talked about goals with this same person, and the discussion at the end was maybe they look for something where their talents are more appreciated, because they're a really good manager. They're a really good manager. So, maybe maybe that's a goal for them. Maybe your goal is to get this type of job or whatever. I'm not doing a very good. Let's go. The set goals and be informed is not really where we're trying to go. So build a support network. Find like-minded people. That's what I did. There's a lot of fucking shenanigans out there. A lot of bullshit. And it took a while for me to get it's that number's at 3. I've been doing this 7 years now. All right. For months, the people watching was 0. It was often that I went live and it was 0, but I didn't give up because I wasn't really doing it for them. I was doing it for me. And I knew somebody out there was being helped, and that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered at the time. Now, the goal is still, if this helps one person, then I've done my job, but it helps a lot more. So that's an added benefit, is it not? Yeah, sure it is. You know, I've been building relationships with the right people. So that way, when I go, no, they go, okay, why, dear? And they listen. And they listen to me because we've had hard conversation. See, that's the thing is I know how to build that relationship. It starts by bringing up a tough conversation and making them feel better as we go through it and listening to what they have to say and then finding a common place. It's one thing I'm really good at is finding a common place that we can both agree on where we can start this. When I work with a new professional, one of the things I tell them is like, hey, we got to get to know each other first. We got to get to know each other first. We got to make sure that this is what's right. Because I'm not the kind of person that, you know, where you throw something against the wall and hope it sticks. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not in sales anymore. Okay. One of my favorites was sandbagging. It was one of my favorites because people are like, well, gosh, Gian, you're like 3rd or 4th in the sales ranks this month. I mean, I was always 1 or 2. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got some things going on. And then I'll lay down 10 deals the next day. You're like, well, you shouldn't have got your hopes up, huh? Just keep posting. Just keep posting. Leisure says, keep posting no matter what. Michelle says, your leadership skills are very valuable. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ask for help. Don't hesitate to ask loved ones or professionals for assistance and guidance. People love to give advice. So make sure you're asking the right people. Usually somebody who's experienced whatever it is that you're going through, right? Utilize resources. Take advantage of available resources like support groups. They actually brought up Alcoholics Anonymous in this. It's the only resource they gave that in NA. We're making progress. We're making progress. A month ago, I wouldn't have done that. I don't think so. So good on AI. Thank you, AI, for understanding that Alcoholics Anonymous is the shit. All right. Stay calm and persistent. I love that word because I am very persistent. Ask Adams County. Ask Aurora Mental Health. Right. The first time I met with Adams County a few years back, the detox was not even on the table. It wasn't even a thought. I'm like, hey, what about detox? They're like, yeah, that's a few years down the road. And I said, no, it's not. And then I showed them the need. I showed them the pain, and they changed their mind. It took a couple months. But I was persistent. Once a week, I would write them an email. Hey, where are we at? Where are we at? Who wants to meet? Let's talk. Let's sit down and talk. Let's talk through these things. Right? Leisure says, I didn't want to post this week, but still posted a crappy episode. You can't think of it that way, brother. You never know. You never know what you're going to do help somebody else, right? You just never know. But it's not easy to do this. I probably make it look easy, but it's not. It's not easy to come up with a topic that changes and to talk about something different so I don't bore you. And the camera's got to be right and the lighting. And then, fucking microphone. You got to have a decent microphone. And then you got to have some technical skills. You do. And so it took me a lot of practice. Okay. Now I'm kind of an old pro at this. Are all of mine good? No, there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, I wish I could have done better, but you're going to get what you get. I can't force myself to be something else, right? Yeah. So manage emotions. We got to be responsible here. That gets back to what we're responsible for. And we're responsible for our actions, our emotions, and our triggers. Yep. I'm telling you, it'll set you the fuck free. It pisses me off. It does. Oh, I get it. But being responsible for those three things is one of the biggest things that has set me free. Because I'm responsible for them. Now I have the power. I have the control of me, not anybody else, but me and how I react to that and what I do with the information. Okay? Develop healthy coping mechanisms to manage stress and frustration. Be persistent. Do you know how many times I have failed to get to the point I'm at? More than I've succeeded, a lot more, a lot more. Even with working with some of these other people, I have failed. Some people I talk to, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, let's talk again." Silence. Especially 4 years ago when I got blackballed from the industry because people didn't want to get caught doing Medicaid fraud. These are the same people that are now going to put out content. Oh, we're about to drop a bunch of content. That's stupid. To drop it all at once is not how you should do it. Okay. When it comes to recovery, if it's not like it is here, where it's raw, uncut, unedited, and you can go live and take care of what needs to be taken care of, you're a mile behind me. Okay. I don't know too many other lives or people that do content that do it the way that I do it. But it is because I don't want your likes. I don't want your loves. I don't need your fucking money. I want you to be a better person. I want you to pass on what I am freely giving to you because it was freely given to me. It's all I want. It's all I want. All right. Seek professional help. Yes. I believe every alcoholic should have a therapist. I believe that. Yeah. If you want to learn how to advocate for yourself, if you want to be a better person, therapy is needed. If you're struggling to advocate for yourself, reach out to a therapist or counselor for support. By actively engaging in these steps, you can empower yourself to take charge of your recovery journey and achieve your goals. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And have a Friday.